Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Hello everybody, it's Michael Cologne with Mimosas with Michael. I feel like every time you guys see me, I'm sitting in a different area of the house. Today I have all my horror stuff, just because I was sitting outside and then the neighbors decided to do construction. But I wanted you to be able to hear my guest today, it's Elena Pepe, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Elena Pepe, yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, yeah.
My pleasure. So most people need to know that right now you are in London.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And I'm in the City of Angels, so.
But it's quite sunny here today. It's like 30 degrees. That's Celsius. It's kind of impressive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of good for London because London's usually cold and wet. That's what.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you. By the way, it's so weird. I have a printer here, but this is I have a home office, so it's like I work from home, so I don't have a lot of places to like set up a shop for video. I'm gonna have to focus on that this year, is finding a place to like. But that's not the point. So you're in London. I didn't tell you this, but I actually went to London 2 years ago. I celebrated my birthday there, so I took myself to London, and I love London. Love it. I ended up becoming a guest of a film school there, and so I got to talk to the film school, which is Central Film School.
Okay.
Because one of the teachers there is a script supervisor. Like I was a script supervisor for years, and my union president here in Los Angeles worked on Star Wars, and so this particular script supervisor had done second unit. So we met up, and she's like, "Oh, you're a filmmaker from Los Angeles. You should come talk to the school." And then I connected her with. I have a friend who's a producer for the BBC there. So, and I don't know if you know this, but when I was there 2 years ago, I actually did an episode of Mimosas with Michael there with this gentleman. He's really cool.
It was called Pimps with Michael.
Yeah. It was called what?
Pimps. Exactly.
Well, actually, I did it with this gentleman, and we ended up drinking tea. Very English, okay. I know. And I had just a little recorder. We were just going back and forth. It was really a lot of fun. And I met this really awesome musician out there by the name of Nick Zara, who has a very Ed Sheeran feel. And so I met him one night. I was staying with a friend in Twickenham, and we were out in, I want to say Richmond. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were and we just met, and he's been on the show. So, I've had many people from across the globe, mostly from London, because I have a lot of London people there. So, all right, I talked more. It's an episode about you, and I was talking. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you enjoyed London.
Oh, I want to go back. I was supposed to be in London in April, but with COVID-19, I was taking my father for his birthday. We had to postpone our trip. So, you have to show me all the cool places and bars to go to.
Yeah.
So you and I were in a movie together. Well, not together, but we're in the same movie, The Central Authority.
Yes.
And you did a scene with my roommate, Lachelle.
Yeah, she was great. I really enjoyed working with her.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, she and I are about to do a project. I do this horror web series I've been writing about. I've been writing a horror web series with my friend about the quarantine, and we need more actors. And now that Los Angeles has opened up more, I'm able to get on set now. So she and I will be acting in another movie. But without going into too much detail, because we can't give it a lot away, what was your experience like doing a socially distanced movie?
It was great because I actually got to work, even if we were in quarantine.
Yeah.
And I think who would have thought? I did a movie with, a lot of people from all over the world. I got to create my character was called Dr. Zivaga. She is the sexual expert for the Central Authority, which is like
nice.
this organism that control this dystopian reality guides this movie. And I had a lot of fun because it's exactly like my kind of humor. I like satire. I like improvisation. I'm not like the most politically correct person you can encounter usually.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
So,
No judgment here.
Coming also, from the British humor, Monty Python, that was, I grew up with that kind of British satire. So I really loved that we could explore this in this movie.
Oh yeah, I love British humor.
It was just very, very exciting to be able to be creative during quarantine and be free. Also, we were giving like an idea of what our character was gonna be, but with Lichelle, we could like improvise. We could build our own sketch, and usually you are not so. It's not so easy that you've been given that kind of freedom.
Yeah, it's usually so rigid. It's like you have line, which is a good thing, but it's also nice to have the opposite side where you can just sort of. I understand because I'm not like I didn't come out here to be an actor. I came out here to be a writer, and then I fell into directing. But I do like that every once in a while I'm able to jump in front of the camera because it helps me really understand the process. And in this case, I mean, I was like given, I didn't have my own show. I was a guest on one, sort of similar, I think, to what you did. And so I had to like make up a character based on this other person's segment, which was so fascinating to be able to do because it's not something I get to do often, both in front and behind the camera. So for me, I got a lot out of it. So I can only imagine as somebody who acts all the time, how nice it is to really like to sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Work on a different sort of acting muscle that you don't normally get to work on.
Yeah, I do write as well, so I really enjoy that.
Oh, good.
The part of like be free to like develop the character further and see what can she say? How does she see the world? And okay, exactly. I can do this now. Nobody's telling me this is their script, and I can't touch this.
It's kind of fun, and then you're like a small piece of this bigger puzzle, which is kind of fun too. What? So what do you write then? Because you said you write.
Yeah, I write mostly comedies.
Oh, nice.
I'm a comedy writer. I have a TV series that's is in development in Italy, which is a musical comedy, and then a film in the UK. I write like a comedy, but there's always like a deeper meaning to it. Like I try to use humor. I try to use humor to open people's heart so I can deliver a powerful message. They laugh, they get distracted, and at the same time I try to say something important. So I try to talk about immigration, integration of cultures.
Oh, nice.
What resonates with me, but always in a light but not superficial kind of way. At least this is my mission. That I don't know if I accomplish it, but this is what drives me in a way.
Well, I feel like that's important because if people can laugh while they're learning, then they feel less like they're learning, right? So you're not necessarily preaching at them. You're more like, hey. I think that's one thing I love about British humor in a sense is I wish I could learn how to do that, but it's like it's very satirical, like you said. It's like we poke fun at something, we're making fun of it, but also here's a message we want to deliver. And I think an audience is more apt to listen to that because they're not feeling pressure to like learn something. They're just like, oh, that was entertaining, and I really had no idea that like this is what happened to women, or this is So that's awesome that you're able to do that.
Well, I try. I hope I'm successful. Yeah. We'll see. But
we're all just trying. I saw, that's all we can do. But sometimes it's like it's about the journey. It's like getting there. It's like even the lessons you're learning along the way, I think, are important.
Yeah, I think writing for me is like has always been like at least I can create my own world, you know. I've always
Yeah.
felt like a bit of an outsider because I was born in Italy, but then I moved to the UK when I was very little, and
Oh.
so I wasn't fully Italian, but I wasn't fully British. And when I'm in the US, I'm not American, so it's always like this outsider point of view. But then there was a point which I thought, okay, I can use this. I can use
Yeah.
this, and to write, and. And when you write, you actually create your own world, and nobody can say anything, and everything makes sense for you in that world.
Yeah, because that world has its own set of rules.
Yeah.
What part of Italy are you from? Because I was supposed to, like, on this trip it got postponed. Italy was one of the countries I was supposed to go to for the first time. I've never been. But what part of Italy are you from?
My city is called Ferrara, and it's near Bologna,
Okay.
between Bologna and Venice. The middle north, I would say.
Okay.
Well,
would you plan on going? Would you plan on going when? I mean, I think even most travel bans to the UK from the US probably won't even be lifted till the end of summer. It seems like so. I'm pretty much.
No, I think I'll go soon. Like it looks like in June, July, we will be able, at least from the UK, to go to Italy. So I will probably go to visit my parents.
Yeah.
So I think within Europe, maybe the travel ban will be lifted a bit sooner than internationally.
Yeah, I mean, we can still travel within the US, but I don't know if how it will be traveling to other countries. I mean, I think they're still trying to figure that out. So I think I'm just gonna have to wait to travel, which I love traveling. I love it so much. Last year I traveled a lot. This year, I mean, I was in Mazatlan, Mexico with my roommate. Not Lachelle, we have another roommate who was also in the Central Authority. But we ended up, because our birthdays in February, so we went to Mazatlan, and like right when we got back was right around the time we went into quarantine. So it was like, I was lucky, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that hasn't had their birthday in the quarantine. Like all my friends, all my family, their birthday's been under quarantine. So I actually got to celebrate. I feel a little guilty about that. But what has quarantine been like in the UK for you guys?
I would say no Zoom parties for you.
No,
the real one.
Yeah. There's been Zoom graduations and there's been Zoom parties. Like my niece graduated from college and they had the graduation over Zoom, which was interesting because we could play, like, they had this little video we could play. We could all chat about it. It's very interesting. We're definitely in a different world right now.
But so to answer your question, quarantine in the UK was fine. Like we were not as closed up as other countries. Like we were not so restricted, to be honest. Like we could go out once a day for exercise.
Oh, good. Okay.
We could go to the supermarket. In Italy, my friends had to always have a piece of paper with them, like with a certification on why they were getting outside of the house.
Oh, goodness.
We were not like, that strict in the UK. Nowadays, we don't know what we're doing really, because we've been very confused about what we should be doing.
Same here, I think.
It's becoming about individual responsibility, I feel. So that there is this virus, what you have to do to avoid it. And you should care for yourself and others. Yeah. That's the idea.
So when it comes to writing, because I know you mostly do comedy, have you tried to do anything else? Because like I mostly write horror, but I also do other genres, but it's just like horror is like what I'm known for. So you're comedy, but have you ever explored other avenues when it comes to your writing and or acting?
No, yeah, acting, everything. Actually is easier that, I've been called in to do a dramatic role.
Oh, good. Okay.
Or a horror, or, I've done all of that. I think if it changes a bit by country. I think in Italy, I might do more comedy. And then in England, then it's more drama. In the US, there's more genre. So there's a lot of, horrors, sci-fi. So it's more varied. So I think it changes a bit with the country.
And that's for acting, right?
Yes, for acting.
That's interesting how versatile you can be based on the region. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's really nice.
And writing wise, obviously I studied, you study everything when you're training. I've written also a couple of adaptation. That's what I like, from books.
Okay.
Or historical dramas. Or since I have a degree in science, sometimes, if there's something that, medical based or there's a scientific background, I might get hired to do that.
So what science?
Biotechnology.
Wow, good for you. Nice.
And so I will say, when I say I'm a comedy writer, like those are maybe if I need to sit down and really think about a project that I want to create from beginning to finish.
Yeah.
What is that inspires me? What kind of story I want to tell? And then there's usually a story and that, as a depth, but then I always try to find the humor in it, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And then as an actress, is there a particular role you'd love to play that maybe you haven't played yet? Like, have you ever thought about that?
So the roles that I seem to enjoy more is like the ones that are more far away from me. They
challenge you.
Yeah, they challenge me, and they go opposite like who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a quite, reserved person, warm, kind of. Not quiet, but lately I've been playing the killer quite a lot, like the innocent beast, the one that you wouldn't expect.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Good for you.
That you wouldn't suspect, but will kill you with a smile, kind of thing. So it's something I really enjoy, and I think. To build on that, I would like to be a boss, like a mafia boss, or
really?
Somebody who is the head of a criminal organization.
Okay.
Because we kind of portray them usually as this kind of like De Niro / Al Pacino tough people.
Yeah.
But I think there's no reason why it couldn't be like a female leader.
Yeah.
That the first sight doesn't seem that evil,
Right. Yeah.
Or
then all of a sudden, yeah, that's actually kind of cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah, because I'm also a coach, and I do like teach female leadership all over the world. I do workshops, and
that's very fascinating.
And I try to inspire people to be your own leader. You as you are. You don't need to think that being a female leader means to be this alpha male character. As long as you are, self-confident in what you're doing, people will follow you. And I think that dramatically wise, will be interesting to apply this to a criminal organization, obviously fictionally.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely fictionally, but that'd be kind of fun to explore. Okay. Just for clarification, it's only fictionally. I like that. I like that you got to clarify. I do find it. So in the film industry, the job that I did for a long time as a script supervisor is mostly a predominantly female role. But I find that a lot of women now are taking over roles that are considered predominantly male, like grips, electric, which I think it's fascinating. But it's interesting to hear you say that when you say women need to be confident, that I find that I think sometimes women find that they have to act like a man, and I could be wrong, so please tell me if I'm incorrect, but I feel like they have to act like a man to get a man's attention to show them that they're more of a boss. But I agree with more of what you're saying, that they just need to be more confident because
yeah, you need
really...
to find your own way to be a leader.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, you need to go on that journey of self-confidence, but it doesn't mean that you need to imitate, you know, somebody else's style of leadership.
Yeah, I like
at the same time, like, as we can see that, you know, there's a lot of male leaders who are not behaving as the typical alpha male.
I'm not an alpha male at all.
Wall Street asshole. Yeah, can we say that word? No.
Yeah, it's okay. You're fine. This is the internet. I have the kind of writing. Don't worry. I curse like a sailor. But so then I have a sort of,
you know, there are also other models of leadership right now. You know, that is also so 90s. You know, we're past that.
But I feel like, you know, it's interesting. A lot of older males, probably white, and I can say that because I'm white, but are kind of like, I don't know if they're intimidated, but they don't really like being, you know, bossed. I guess bossed, I use it as quotes, but bossed around by a woman. So like, how do you approach that? Because now I personally don't mind. I mean, I've had female bosses before. I have no issue with that person, but I feel like an older generation is kind of maybe be taught that way. So how do you teach women to deal with like men like that?
Well, I think, you know, obviously it's a long process, but what I would say is always like, there's always a hook. You know, there's always a reason why a person could come towards you. And you just need to find what is the common ground. Even if, you know, the other person could be, you know, irritated or annoyed by the simple fact that you are in charge because you're a woman.
Yeah.
You can go past that if you show them that you have a common vision, like you want the same thing, you know, and you can help him in getting what he wants.
Okay.
So,
that's a good answer.
You know, so I always ask, what's the hook? You know, how can I, you know, get that person to come towards me?
Yeah.
I think in general, you know, when they teach us, you know, in religion classes, like treat the other person as you want to be treated, it's wrong.
That is my goal. That's how I live my life.
It's wrong. It's treat the other person as they want to be treated. Because personality wise, they might be different from you.
Oh,
and if you understand how they function, then you can, you know, have a way in.
Yeah, I used to take a lot of communication courses, per se, when I was working at a full-time job, and they say that like some people just want bullet points, and they just want the facts. You come in and you just boom, 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 and then some people you got to approach them differently because it's like, you know, they might need paragraphs of why, and some people might be a little more sensitive, so you got to approach that. So I like that you have that approach. That's great.
So I would suggest that if somebody is like throwing an attitude at you, first thing, don't assume that it's you. You know, maybe it's just projecting. You know, he has you know, his own thing going on. Yeah. If it is you, at the end of the day, there's always a way in that you can find for which, you know, he might need you. So you just need to be careful not your ego to get in the way, because if you start like going like, oh, this person treats me badly, blah blah blah, why me, why is it like that, then you go into a spiral of like self-loathing that's not going to help you.
Yeah, I am not a big fan of ego, so I love to hear you say that. And and it's probably great how much you can apply all this to both your acting and your writing.
Yeah, it's really helpful, actually.
I would imagine. That's so fascinating. Look at all these layers you have. I love it. It's so fascinating.
I think in general, I was saying this in another interview some days ago. I think in general, as actors, we have this ability to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes.
But I would imagine you get there as a writer, though, too.
As a writer as well.
Yeah.
But if everybody could do that, then we will have such a much better society. Like if you start thinking, this person who, I can't stand, but why is he behaving that way? What's happening? How is his life? What if if I will be in his shoes, how would I behave and all that? If we do a bit of that, like there will be much less hatred, I feel.
A very powerful statement. I agree with that, actually. Where can people find you? Like what is your socials?
Instagram, it's Anna Elena Pepe, ANNAELENAPP, and there's Facebook as well. Twitter is Anna E Pepe.
Okay, we'll put all that down in the show notes too. So
yes.
And people can find you on the Central Authority.
Central Authority, IMDb.
Any other projects coming out that you want to tell us about? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I have basically a pilot that is a short film. Okay. That went to the cinema actually in Italy, like has been selected to go before a full-length film.
Oh, fun.
During Christmas time, yeah. So and that's also being developed into a web series, and it's called Totò e Daiana. It's about Italians in London, and it's about two people very different. Diana is a hairdresser that just arrived in London, while Totò has been in London for 30 years. So we talk about two generations of immigrants, what it means to be an immigrant, and also like how maybe an immigrant that's just arrived is full of enthusiasm and but also has a lot of obstacles, while somebody like Totò has been in London for 30 years, like it's settled, but at the same time he will never be British, So there's a sense of belonging that he's lacking. So it's about friendship between two people that are very different for status, personality, backgrounds, but at the same time they learn from each other. As in Italy, once we had something called bottega or bar, like a little cafe where the people from the old village will be together. So you will have the old guy interacting with the young girl, and there's a knowledge that passed through generations, and I think we are kind of losing that. But I think generations can help each other.
Yeah.
So it's a story about this. I wrote it together with the other protagonist, was Marco Gambino, and with Ciccio Bozzi, was the author of a famous comedian, Fiorello, in Italy. So we, and this is coming out, and it's kind of exciting. And then I also have a short film that it's coming up. It's called Agatha, and talks about immigration and violence against women, but again in a kind of a light, but I hope powerful way.
Oh, that all sounds amazing. Thank you.
And then I have a film in LA. If we can shoot one day.
I think they're definitely finding ways to open up the industry. So I think it'll happen. They're really finding ways to open the industry. It's not that they don't want to film. It's that they want to find ways to do it safely, especially because a lot of people on set, we get so close. I mean, it's an intimate environment in a lot of ways, especially between actors. So they're just trying to find ways to do that safely. But their goal is to do it. Hopefully by the end of summer, people will start being on set more. Bigger shows, a lot bigger shows. So before we wrap up, because we do have to go soon, is there any advice you'd like to give or share with the audience? Like if you find that, especially, maybe like a younger... Actors
in general, or...
let's just say, if you see a young... Like you're asked this question, I always think of it as like maybe you're at a Q&A, and let's say another young Italian girl is like, what advice can you give me? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be acting or writing. It's just like, I want to be in the entertainment industry. I want to tell stories. What advice would you give this person?
I would say take obstacles as opportunities. Like when you see an obstacle, instead of saying, oh, why me? Why this happened to me? Say, yes, me. Okay, this thing happened and I'm going to overcome it because I'm bigger than this, you know? So I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to become better, a better person, a better artist. But this obstacle doesn't define me. It doesn't define my mission. It doesn't define, you know, my identity or what I can do. So get out of the way, bitch.
Truer words. I love that. I love it. You have to get a shirt that says that. Get out of my way, bitch. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. That's really sage advice. I will tell you that even
and also if I can add that you are part of the world, you know, you're not alone in this world, so you're part of a movement. So be nice to people. If you can help somebody, help them, you know, with nothing else in mind. Just can you still hear me?
Yeah, everything's fine
for a second. So yeah, just, you know, think yourself as a part of this world, and so help the movement in general.
I love it. Amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing your story. So many amazing things happening for you. I can't wait to revisit this again in the future and see where you are in your career. And then please look for Anna in the Central Authority, and we'll put more of your work and stuff in the show notes so people can check out your work. So
yes, thank you so much, and hopefully see you in LA if I manage to come back.
Or hopefully I can see you in London or Italy as well.
In London, yes, of course.
Well, thank you everybody. This is Michael Coulombe with Mimosas with Michael. Again, thank you to Anna Elena Pepe.
Thank you so much.
And you can find the show on we're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and we are also available at mimosaswithmichael.com. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.